So in the world that is adoption and the world that is foster care, the reality so many face and live with is that you can feel both positive and negative emotions at the same time with human interaction experiences, as removal trauma triggers are all around human connection and interaction. It is very easy for most interactions to become entangled within our removal trauma survival response, creating the reality that we never truly learn what positive human interactions actually feel like, often leading to isolation and the inability to fit in. This also creates the likelihood of becoming the target of bullying and further abuse, as the inability to respond feeds into the belief that harm is condoned and feeling isolated makes you an easy target. Sometimes the opposite is also a possibility, where a person actively seeks a more extreme expression of human connection and interaction, needing them to remain heightened, or they lose interest, constantly needing to move from relationship to relationship. Both ends of the spectrum lead to a place where the understanding of what created the feelings and behavior needs to be understood. Otherwise, the same cycles become embedded and what is lived for a lifetime. Within the world of adoption and foster care, there is a term often raised called insecure attachment. Children who have experienced multiple placements or unstable living situations through failed adoptions developed attachment from a base experience, the removal and placement experience, altering how we learn what connection to others feels like. Imagine for a moment the impact of being removed from everything and everyone you've ever known. Your home, your school, your friends, even your parents. All of these attachments are severed, leaving you in a state of limbo, unsure of where you belong or who you can rely on. This experience is traumatic, and it leaves a deep emotional wound that can take years to understand, let alone heal. For adopted individuals, and those from foster care, this trauma is often buried under layers of societal expectations and the narrative that they were simply given a better life. But the truth is that the psychological scars of abandonment and loss run deep. As adopted and foster care adults, we carry the weight of this trauma with us every day. It affects the way we learned to relate to others, the way we feel about ourselves, and the way we view the world. Many of us struggle with feelings of emptiness and disconnection, as well as an inability to connect the way we wish to. We may find ourselves constantly seeking love and attention, but never feeling truly part of. Or we may retreat into ourselves, becoming isolated and detached. Either way, we are left feeling incomplete, living in a void we try to forget. Some become resigned to our fate, believing that the pain of rejection and abandonment is simply part of our story, something we deserve for an imagined wrong. Some may even come to accept abuse as a means of feeling connected or getting the attention we deserve. As children, we learn about the world through our connection and interactions with our core relationships. If those interactions are marked by removal, rejection, neglect, or abuse, we develop a negative self-image and a distorted view of relationships, interactions, and connection. This can lead to a lifetime of struggling in romantic partnerships, friendships, and family relationships. We may find ourselves constantly seeking love and belonging, but never feeling like we are good enough or worthy enough to receive it. Or the frustration of never being able to find a way to fit in. To break free of these cycles, we must first understand and acknowledge the trauma that has shaped our beginnings. We must learn to understand how our beginnings shaped how we learn to interpret and what connection feels like. Then, through the support and co-regulation with those close to us, we can begin to heal and move forward toward a life of love, connection, and belonging.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening all, it's Bear here. And I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, A Box With No Lid. A channel I'm creating not just to bring the awareness around the lived reality of trauma, complex trauma, and removal trauma, the world that is adoption and the world that is foster care. But I also like to bring forward my own personal journey and my own personal experiences and what I've learned through that as I am an adoptee. And also from my many, many years as an advocate and as a practitioner, all with a simple hope that something you may learn or hear here is supportive, informative, and helpful in improving the quality of your life. Now, as you can tell from the claymation, I'm still moving forward with getting the value of the experiences of removal and how much that is embedded within every person who has gone through it, regardless of whether you're from adoption or foster care. The chaos of removal, even though the reasons may be justified, it's still there recorded within our nervous system, and it still drives and affects how we connect and attach and engage with people, society, and the world. As I said in the previous video, the thing to understand is when you come from adoption or foster care, all our trauma triggers are associated with human interaction and human connection. How we connect to people, how we love people, how we engage with people. All of our triggers are associated. And to start to work with that and start to understand the impact of that, I want to split it into two separate camps, because otherwise it gets very, very information overload heavy. One camp is the physical, the act of removal, the process of removal, the chaos that's created. And the other is the emotions associated with the roles that we transfer to. You know, we're taken from a biological woman, that's our mother. And then we're told this is your mother and we need to transfer and attach to her as our mother. Well, the associations between the two, and that's in the next video. But in this video, just think about the chaos of removal. Think about what has led up to a child or an infant being removed. Think of what a mother goes through when a child's growing within her womb, within her body, experiencing everything she does and every emotion she feels as the child develops, to be removed. That process is such a neurological bomb that an infant's nervous system does not have the capacity to process. That's why it gets repressed. The nervous system hits that point, shuts down. The nervous system goes grey. It creates that gap that I've spoken about in numerous videos when it hits that trigger point. That's why there is a gap for adoptees and those that have gone through foster care in our connections and in our attachments to people. Because as soon as that part of our neurophysiology needs to connect, the biological, the physical feeling of closeness and intimacy and belonging and all the parts that we were supposed to feel to our biological family from birth, as soon as that part is brought to engage within that process of connection, our nervous system shuts down because it's too much. I don't like to say that it cannot be healed, because it can. And as I've spoken about in numerous videos, the reality of what needs to be created for it too. This society doesn't want to go anywhere near. In Indigenous communities, I've seen where this can be worked with and ways this can be worked with. I was hopeful myself to be part of a process here of assessing MDMA as a therapy, not as a feel-good drug. Unfortunately, I wasn't chosen as part of that committee, and they went with the feel-good drug part, not a therapy process. The way to work with this is we need to find ways to support the nervous system to not get overloaded. It's similar going into high-end combat PTSD and so forth. We need to work with it in ways so it doesn't get overloaded. But for the purposes of this video, we just need to acknowledge that it's there. To remove the guilt when we feel separate. To understand why we feel alone so often. Why we feel different so often. At the core of it is the chaos of everything that happened leading up to and what happened from our removal to our placement. All of that. All the neurological signals, all the adrenaline, all the response trauma, all the overload trauma, all of it encapsulated in one neurophysiological sphere of chaos of neural signals and feelings and sensations. When you understand that, at least you know why. And that is the simple goal of this video, is just to get you guys to understand, well, this is why I struggle. As I said in the beginning, it's in the hope that what you learn here can start to open up the doors of communication and conversation with those that you can talk about with this, or opening up paths to develop the connections with people so that you can talk about this. To those of us that are working with therapists, to be able to get the therapist to understand so you can work with this, because we need physical interactions to begin the process of the steps of preparing the way for this bomb of chaos to be worked with. If we try to go at it without preparing a way, we'll just shut down. Our nervous system won't go there. We will go to a dorsal vagal shutdown, and we will just reinforce that door needs to remain closed. You can argue that, well, we just don't need to go there. That's fine. We don't need to. But when you look at the ACE studies, when you look at childhood adversity studies and childhood trauma studies as the basis of so many complicated medical illnesses in adults, sometimes there's a reason we have to go there. But as I said in this video, it's just the acknowledgement of the recognition of that chaos. And the next video, I want to get into the roles a little more. So please watch that one that I'll release in a week. Because all of this kind of goes hand in hand. It's not like just take one part. It all goes hand in hand. But like I said in the claymation, we can feel two emotions at the same time. A positive and a negative with our engagements. And at the core of the negative is that chaos of removal. I really hope you guys understand where I'm coming from with this and what I'm hoping to achieve with these videos, and the awareness I'm hoping to create, and the support I hope these videos enable people to find in their own lives. As always, I love you guys' comments and feedback. Please hit the like and share button. Please subscribe and stay safe. Be mindful, be respectful, and I will see you all next time.